28 years. That's a lifetime. For some, it's an entire career, a family raised, a world changed. But for one of the most iconic figures in music history, 28 years is how long justice has been denied. The murder of Christopher Wallace, the notorious B.I.G, isn't just an unsolved case. Some believe it was a case that was never meant to be solved at all. Let's go back to that night. March 9th, 1997, Los Angeles. The air is electric. Biggie, just 24 years old, is leaving the Vibe magazine party at the Peterson Automotive Museum. He's at the absolute peak of his career, a king of hip-hop, a voice that defined a generation. His second album, prophetically titled Life After Death, is set to drop in just a few weeks. The future looked limitless. He's in the passenger seat of a green GMC Suburban, part of a 3-car convoy. They're cruising down Wilshire Boulevard, just 50 yards from the party. Then a red light at the corner of Fairfax Avenue brings everything to a halt. It's just after midnight, 12:45 a.m. Out of the darkness, a black Chevy Impala SS pulls up alongside Biggie's vehicle. A window rolls down. A hand emerges holding a 9mm pistol. Pop, 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 pop. 4 shots fired in rapid succession. The Impala speeds off into the night, vanishing without a trace. Inside the suburban chaos, Christopher Wallace is hit. He's rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but it's too late. The king is dead. The music world is shattered. A legend is gone, almost instantly. But how? How could one of the most famous men in America be gunned down on a busy LA street with so many witnesses, and the case just go cold? That's where the story gets darker, murkier, and far more complex than a simple drive-by shooting. In the immediate aftermath, the theories began to swirl, creating a vortex of speculation that continues to this day. The most obvious one? The infamous East Coast versus West Coast rivalry. Just 6 months earlier, Tupac Shakur, the figurehead of West Coast rap, had been murdered in Las Vegas. Was this retaliation? Was Biggie's death a tragic final chapter in a bloody feud between Bad Boy Records and Death Row Records? It seemed plausible. The media certainly ran with it. It was a simple, sensational narrative, but the truth is rarely that simple. As the LAPD began their investigation, things quickly went sideways. Evidence seemed to disappear. Witnesses clammed up, either out of fear or a deep-seated distrust of the police. The initial investigation was, to put it mildly, a mess. Key people weren't interviewed properly. Leads weren't followed. The whole thing felt off. It felt like something was being deliberately buried. This brings us to the second major theory, one that has gained incredible traction over the years. An inside job involving the notorious head of Death Row Records, Suge Knight. Knight was in the car with Tupac the night he was shot. He had every reason to want revenge. But could he orchestrate a hit on Biggie right in the heart of Los Angeles? And could he do it with help from the very people sworn to uphold the law? Enter the rogue cops. Whispers grew into credible allegations that corrupt officers within the LAPD, some of whom were rumored to be working security for Death Row Records, were involved. Officers like David Mack and Rafael Perez, both central figures in the massive Rampart police scandal, were linked to Suge Knight. The theory goes that these officers may have helped orchestrate the hit, or, at the very least, actively obstructed the investigation to protect Knight and cover their own tracks. Think about it. Who better to sabotage a murder investigation than the investigators themselves? For years, these were just theories, whispers in documentaries and hushed conversations. The case files gathered dust. Biggie's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles, claiming a police cover-up. The lawsuit ended in a mistrial, clouded by allegations of the LAPD hiding crucial evidence. It seemed like the truth would forever be lost in a maze of lies, corruption, and silence. But then a retired LAPD detective named Greg Kading stepped into the light. Kading led a special task force in the mid-2000s, reopening the cold cases of both Tupac and Biggie. And what he uncovered was explosive. He laid out his findings in his book, Murder Rap, and a subsequent documentary. According to Kading, he has the answer. He claims he knows who pulled the trigger. The man's name was Wardell Fouse, an associate of Suge Knight, better known by his street name, Poochie. Kading's investigation alleges that Suge Knight, while in prison, communicated the order for the hit through his girlfriend at the time. Kading's task force built this case by flipping informants, getting people to talk who had stayed silent for years. He even got a confession of a sort. He claims Poochie's ex-girlfriend admitted that he had confessed to her about carrying out the murder. It was the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for. The case was finally solved. But here's the devastating catch. Here's why 28 years later, no one is in handcuffs. Wardell, Poochie Fouse, can never be charged. He can never be questioned. He was killed in 2003, shot 10 times in the back while riding his motorcycle in what was described as a dispute over a drug debt. The triggerman is dead. And what about Suge Knight? He has consistently and vehemently denied any involvement in Biggie's murder. Without the man who allegedly pulled the trigger, and with the key evidence being confessions from informants who could be seen as unreliable in court, the district attorney's office has never felt they had a strong enough case to file charges against Knight for this crime. So Kading's version, as compelling as it is, remains just that, a version, an unofficial conclusion to an official cold case. So where does that leave us? We're left with shadows. We have bullet casings with a murky chain of custody. We have witnesses who were either too scared to talk or whose credibility has been questioned. We have a supposed money trail that is impossible to trace. We even have Biggie's autopsy report, which details the tragic path of the fatal bullet. It entered his right hip, tearing through his colon, liver, heart, and the upper lobe of his left lung. It tells us how he died with clinical precision, but it doesn't tell us who killed him. As we approach 2025, there's renewed public pressure, new documentaries, new articles. Each anniversary brings a fresh wave of calls for justice. But there have been no new arrests, no prosecutions, just more questions piling up on top of the old ones. This case has become so much more than the murder of a musician. It's a mirror reflecting uncomfortable truths about power, corruption, and the way silence and time can slowly erase the truth. It's about a system that failed, or perhaps a system that worked exactly as some powerful people wanted it to. The murder of Biggie Smalls has an afterlife. It lives on in his music, which is still played on every street corner around the world. It lives on in the endless debates and the search for answers. It's a ghost that haunts not just hip-hop, but American culture itself. A constant, nagging reminder that sometimes, even when a story is known around the world, the final chapter may never be written. Justice, it seems, is still waiting at that red light. Thank you so much for watching. The legacy of the notorious B.I.G. is undeniable, and the quest for truth in his case continues. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. And if you find these deep dives into historic mysteries compelling, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content. We'll see you in the next one.